This is an old lab bench that we're going to finish today. Well, I'm going to refinish it. You're just going to watch. Viewers familiar with the channel may have noticed that I have another one of these in my workshop that I do some work on. And I picked up the two of them a few years ago from a local school district when they were having a liquidation sale. Really a good source of heavy-duty furniture and office equipment for things like your workshop and whatever is local school districts or universities. This furniture, it's not beautiful, okay, it never is, but it's built to take a beating. And so for a workshop or whatever, that's really good. Okay, the top here is in really rough shape. Okay, and so that's where we're going to spend most of our time. It's made out of high-density fiberboard, so it's really hard and heavy and plenty thick to take a little off the top and not worry about it. The legs and the skeleton of the table is made from oak, a nice hard, strong wood. So once we get this sanded and cleaned up and tightened up, it'll be a very, very serviceable work surface. First step is to sand off all the scratches and graffiti and what have you on the top. The legs will probably need a light sanding, but they're in pretty good shape. But the top is pretty beat. Okay, and then once we get that done, we'll paint it up, and it'll be ready to go. I'm going to use an electric sander because sanding this by hand would be a pain. I'm going to start with 40 grit, which is the coarsest grit I have, so that we can take the most off fastest, and then I'll work my way down until it's nice and smooth before we paint it. So I'm going to put this on here, lining up the dust holes. Okay. For those of you just getting started in working around the house, projects, that sort of thing, and are thinking about power tools, okay, I would recommend starting out with corded tools. Okay, they are considerably less expensive than the cordless. Okay, I know you've seen me use cordless tools, and in some situations they are really, really handy, particularly drill drivers. But for the most part, when you're getting started, you know, get your circular saw and a good drill, and get them with the cord to start out while you're learning how to use them, and save yourself a ton of money. They're also a lot more powerful when they're corded. Okay? And especially sanders. A sander will just chew through a battery in a matter of minutes. So cordless sanders are not terribly practical for most purposes. So when you're getting your power tools, keep that in mind. And then the other approach that has worked well for me is I buy a tool when I have a project that tool will make easier. Okay, so I basically amortize the cost of the tool on the project that I'm doing, and then once you've successfully done the project, the tool is basically paid for itself versus having somebody else do the work for you. So do that over the years, and you'll have a well-stocked workshop. Eventually, you will want to go cordless, but if you're starting out, and if there's tools like a sander, corded is the best approach. I'm going to get my ear protection and put my mask on. Okay, don't want to be breathing in any dust. that first pass lets you sort of feel where you're going to need to do the most sanding, and this area of the bench has been the most abused and is the roughest. So that's where the most sanding will be, so back to work. Always want to keep the sander moving, okay, and that helps keep the buildup from happening and get you a smoother finish. So you always keep it moving. Not a lot of pressure, okay. Let the weight of the machine and the sandpaper do the work. It's slow, it's tedious, but pressing on it will just gum it up all the more and slow you down in the long run. Also gouge out the work more. You've watched me sand enough, even if I've sped this up a bit. So I'm going to turn the cameras off and come back when there's something new to show you. Okay, we've got this mostly down. I've been sanding for about 45 minutes. And so we've got most of the gouges from the kids' graffiti smoothed out. You can still see the remnants of some of it. That's mostly staining, because once they scrape the paint off, then it stains, and water can get in and stain it. We do have this one gouge here that's so deep that I don't think I really want to sand all the way down. So I'm going to fill it. Okay. I discovered this stuff last summer, and I've had this since then, so I hope it's still good. And it's a plastic wood filler. But what's really nice about this is it starts out pink, and then when it's dry and ready to sand, it turns this color, the wood color. So it looks to still be pink, so we're in good shape, I think. So it's not going to take much to fill this. Here. So we got a little pink line there, and smoothed out, and so I'll come back when that's not pink anymore and is dried and is ready to sand some more. Okay, our wood filler is dry. so time to do some more sanding. I'm going to go to a finer grit. So this was 40. Go to 80 grit. Back to the fun of sanding. You'll notice that I touch and feel the surface as I sand. That's the best way to sense how smooth it is. Okay, and now that I've taken it down a grit, I can feel that there are some rough spots on the table here on the bench, and mostly I think from being gouged and then getting water damage, because fiberboard just absorbs water and sort of degrades as soon as it gets wet, which is why we're going to paint this again when I'm done. So I'm going to go get some more of this wood filler. I brought it inside so it wouldn't be out baking in the sun, and I'm going to just put a skim coat over some of these areas that are damaged to smooth them out, and then when that dries, we'll sand again. Working this putty down into the divots. Any of the little low areas. Off the excess. And it's hot out here, and the board is absorbent, so it's pulling the moisture out of this and curing it. fairly quickly. Yeah, you can see this is almost all the pink is gone already. So I'm not going to put this drying stuff back into the container. You can see that's almost dry. And then we'll give it another sand. And then bring the grit down again. And keep bringing the grit down. There's a point with this fiberboard where there's you don't want to go any finer, because the texture of the board itself, it won't get any smoother, but then we can put a coat of paint on it and go finer, because the paint will fill in the porous structure of the fiberboard. Legs on this table lost a lot of their finish, so I'm going to just do a quick fine sanding of them with a little tooth, and put a little varnish on them to seal them up, and then we'll get to painting on top of this. So take off That should be good. This isn't a fine piece of furniture, it's not an antique. We're just trying to give it a good enough shape to make it a usable workbench. So, let me get this out of the way. This is just wipe-on poly, homemade wipe-on poly. You can make this yourself, it's really easy. It's half polyurethane varnish and half mineral spirits. That's all there is to it. But it just makes it easy to put a ceiling coat on. And you can build up as many layers of this as you want. And it's easier than brushing on varnish, especially if you're a beginner. It takes many more coats than a brushed on or sprayed on varnish, but it's pretty foolproof. You can see it makes a big difference. It looks and up the top. And that's all there is to it. So we let this dry, and then we will start putting coats of paint on the top. That's going to be a little bit more work because we want it to be able to withstand being used. The legs don't really get much use, so now they're sealed, look good. It's been about an hour. The varnish on the legs is dry, so it's time to start painting the top. So I've got some gloss black paint here. This is just a really cheap, I think this was Dollar Tree paint roller, but it'll be good enough for this. Oh, here's that gloves. Hey, a glove. Just going to give this a coat, and we'll probably put several coats on this, sanding between coats. Get a nice durable smooth finish. This first coat will probably soak in pretty quickly because the fiberboard is very porous. This is pretty old paint, so it's kind of thick and gelatinized a little bit, but good enough for a workbench, right? Just moving in random patterns, which is the best approach with a roller. Try not to press too hard and get lines. Just go around the edge. In the olden days when I was in school, lab benches their tops were made out of soapstone, which was a dark gray, because they were very impervious to the various chemicals that you worked with in the lab. And so that's, I think, why lab benches are painted black on top nowadays, because we just got used to the way they looked with the soapstone tops. But the soapstone was really nice because it really was quite impervious to everything. So this will dry up pretty quickly because it's rather warm out today. And then it's just a matter of successive sanding and coating and sanding and coating until we get the finish that we want. It's time to sand the top and put another coat of paint on it. But before I do that, I want to multitask a little bit. I want to shorten these legs a little bit. You can see that they've got some water damage from sitting in the basement of the school where I purchased them. So I'm just going to cut like ½ an inch off. And to do that, I'm going to remove the legs and take them down to my workshop where I have a miter saw. And so before I do that, I'm going to mark each leg and the top. They should all be identical, but with an older piece of furniture, things sort of wear into position. I want to make sure that I put them back where I got them. So I'm going to mark them, take them out, and then flip the top over and sand it, and then put another coat of paint on it. These are just bolted on. These are rusted, and the nuts don't even all match each other. But custodian repairs, right? That as well. is 220 grit. Just want to smooth this surface before we put another coat of paint on it. Okay, it's warm and sunny out, so this should dry reasonably quickly. But in the meantime, we'll get out in the workshop and trim the legs that I took off of this and deal with those. The paint is drying outside, so I want to address these legs. As you can see, they're pretty gnarly on the bottom, so I want to measure them and cut them off. Also, they have three of them have these little steel inserts in them for casters, but they're mild steel. I'm going to cut very slowly. I have a carbide tip blade, so there's not a lot of steel in there, just the little tube, so hopefully we'll have no issue with that. So I want to take about a 1/2 inch off of here, which brings us to 27 3/4. And we'll make them all the same length, of course. 27 3/4. This is easy because the legs are square, so we don't have to worry about a taper. Okay, I'm first going to cut the one that doesn't have a metal insert in it, and we'll see how that goes. Nice and flat. Okay, no problem cutting the steel. You can see it cut right through it. Okay, so those are all cut. The next thing I want to do is put on some casters. Okay, I picked these up for a buck a piece from a local vendor at the public market. They should fit just right. That's a little high. I'm going to open a drawer here. Just stick that down in the drawer. Get a clamp. That's reasonably secure for what we're doing. So like that. I'm just going as easy as possible here, so I'm just going to use self-tapping screws. Precision isn't terribly important here. one down, 3 to go. Okay, legs are done, and now it's just a matter of checking on the paint. The legs are done, and this coat of paint is dry, so it's looking pretty good, but I think I want to put one more coat on it, and so more sanding and more painting. Hopefully next time we can assemble and start using this lab bench. Well, it's been a long time coming, but I'm ready to put this lab bench back together and start using it. As you can see, I'm here in my studio. I'm going to use this as a new desk here in the studio and see how that works out. So the legs have all been labeled. So it's just a matter of putting them back where they belong. So that's A, which goes over there. B goes over here. B is the one where the whole screw came out, so that's going to be the toughest one to put in. C goes over here. Leaves D. All pulled together. Now comes the fun part, getting this right side up because it's very heavy. So. new desk. And it can roll around my studio, so I can place it wherever I need it for whatever shoot I'm doing. Be much easier than my previous desk.